Okay. Good morning, everybody on YouTube. It's a beautiful day. Just so you know, my house, I hope everyone can hear me. Let me make sure. Let me just double check and make sure that y'all can hear me. Okay, yes. Okay, so just letting you know that my house is a busy house. So I've got 3 kids. One just woke up. So expect the, whoops, expect interruptions. My dog likes to bark. And I expect 1,000 people to show up at my house while I'm doing this because that's typically what happens. It's been a crazy morning already. I lost my cup of coffee. No idea where it went. So I had to get a new one. So I was like rushing around prior to this. So anyway, you are here because I wanted to talk to you about pricing your artwork. Now, I'm going to tell you my story, and I want you to also come up with any questions. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you, and I'll answer you best I can. If I don't know the answer, I am humble enough to say I don't know the answer, and I will find it out for you if you need help. So I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you what other artists use, what they do, what I do. And then also we're going to kind of discuss the insecurities that come along with like raising our prices and, you know, how it makes us feel and how we can overcome it. So welcome everybody who is either watching the replay or who is on live. Don't forget, if you enjoy this video, to like and subscribe, and then also leave a comment with any questions. So, like I said, I have all this written down because I know if I don't, I will go on tangents and I won't be able to keep it together in order, I guess. So, first off, my story. So, my story, I kind of stumbled upon colored pencils accidentally. I've always been a graphite pencil artist in all through school, like high school and everything, and I always dabbled in it. Um, but I always had this knack for seeing detail and seeing things differently than other people. I remember very specifically, I think I was in 4th grade, and I remember drawing this village or something, and it was like this giant rat, and it was like stomping on people, and there's little buildings, and it was like, you know, all the kids were just like, oh my goodness, look how cool, you know, stuff like that. And that was when I knew that I was good at drawing. And I'll never forget it. It's like one of the biggest memories, you know, that I have of like, hey, this is who I am, you know. Anyhow, kind of went on a tangent there. So, um, it wasn't until, so like skipping ahead, like I worked most of my life in healthcare. Um, I worked at a doctor's office for 10 years. I was a surgical technician. I've helped deliver babies. I've worked in on surgeries. I was a CNA for like 19 years. Love caring for the elderly. I also did a short while as an administrator for personal care homes. So I was always in the medical field, but it wasn't until I hit 32 that I started to play with pencils again. And it was funny because on the side, even though I was working in the medical field, I still dabbled in like crafting. And I was kidding myself if I thought that I was a crafter, because I would craft and wouldn't make any sales. My husband would just be like, why are you wasting your time and your money? And you know, all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know. I like to do it. So I would go on these endless, sorry, my kiddo's here. I would go on these endless journeys to try to find something art related to do. But it wasn't until I started to draw with the graphite again that I decided, you know, I'm going to draw this little bird. And I drew a bird and it sold, and I priced it at $40. And I was blown away that it actually sold. And it wasn't until I realized that, hey, there's a market for this. People like these little birds. And I was like, okay, I'm going to draw more. Well, I started selling them more and more and more. Okay. And then I was able to make my table fee. I was able to, you know, just make my money back and then some. And then I started my deep dive into just the art of colored pencils. I didn't realize that there was an art, with colored pencils. So, I went on that deep dive and I found lots of artists who were doing the colored pencils and who were making money, but who were really good at it. And I was like, I want to do that too. So, and I started to. I bought my first set of Prismacolors, and I had a little multimedia pad of paper in the drawer. And then I started drawing again. And I was like, obviously with three small kids, I was staying up really late at night and I was working on my kitchen table just drawing. And I enjoyed it so, so much. And finally, I was like, I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this a career. So I did. And here we are today, 6 years later. I told the doctor that I worked for, I told him I was retiring. And he kind of like chuckled at me. He's like, retiring? You're 32. You're, 33, 34, and I was like, well, I really like it and I'm going to do it. And he's like, okay. So I retired and became an artist. But let me see. Fast forward, I decided to create an art page. So Facebook, you have art pages. Now, if you don't follow my art page, totally fine. You should. I'd like you to go see how I do things and how I drum up, some business. Sorry, it's a busy house, like I said. Hello, everyone who has joined. Glad you're here. So this is what was funny about the art page that I made. So I made this art page, and hey, Silas, can you turn off the water, buddy? Thank you. So I made this art page, and what was funny about it is that I decided for myself that I was not going to be available at all for commission work. I didn't want someone telling me, hey, I want you to draw this. I didn't want someone to steal my ideas and my creativity. So I said, I'm just not going to be available for it, or I'm going to price my availability really high. And if someone wants it still, then I guess they're going to. So I got lucky on that one. So I priced it at like $450, I think it was. So I was like, nobody's ever going to do, want a commission, for that price. But I was shocked when I found out, I got my first and second commission, and everyone was like, I want it. So I got really, really lucky with that. But you'll never know if you don't price it out. Just set a price, and then go from there. So I was pretty excited to actually make some money, to actually make real money. And then I was able to upgrade my pencils. I was able to upgrade my papers, things like that. So, super excited about that. I was pretty shocked. And let's see. Sorry, I'm just like reading my notes. So, going from not making any money, or at least making minimal money at like $40 a portrait, okay, to going to making $450 a portrait. Now, that was a stab in the dark. I was looking at other people, other artists who were selling their work, and I'm like, okay, like I don't have as much experience as them, and I'm doing $40 portraits, so I'm just going to raise it to this price. So I set a base price of that $450, okay? But it didn't stop there. So this brings up the next rule of thumb, and this is what a lot of artists do, and this is also what I do now to help raise prices, to find that sweet spot. So the golden rule of commission work is it's really simple, and it tracks your progress. You can see, it's really easy. So it is basically if you are booked for 2 months, like you've got several commissions and you're booked for 2 months, then you're too cheap. Okay, if you're fully booked. So if you're like booking yourself out 6 months in advance, you need to raise your prices. Okay, now how much you raise those prices is depending on like what you're going for, what your goal is, I guess. So I raised my prices each time around $50 to $100 every time I was booked for 2 months in advance. And then you find that sweet spot though. So once you start getting commission work, that's one, keeping you busy. It's keeping you booked, keeping you busy. Okay. But you're not getting burnout and you're not rushing, you're not like freaking out about it. So that's the sweet spot where you have plenty of commissions to keep you going. And then you also have, money coming in. So that's where you want to be. Okay. You don't want to price yourself so high that you don't make any sales, but then you don't want to price yourself so low that you are like burning out because you just can't keep up. Now, it's a good problem to have that you have, lots and lots of commissions, but you don't want to burn out. Okay. So that is that sweet spot. Okay. So again, booked for 2 months, raise your prices. It can be $25, it can be $50, it can be $100. You can even just set it, flat, $250 start out and see what happens. Okay, so when we raise our prices, there are some insecurities that come along with the raising of our prices. So we get fearful that we might lose clients, that we will be worried that someone's going to say it's too expensive or it's not in my budget. I was looking more for this pricing and I thought that you would be the one. Or worried that you won't sell as many portraits. So with all of those, let's break them down because I've been through all of them and still sometimes have those feelings. Even though I've been doing this for a while, I think it'd be silly for me to say that I don't go through those feelings as well whenever I raise prices. But short answer here is when you raise your prices, you will lose clients. You will lose them. But when you price your art really cheap, okay, when it's really low, some people will look at it and say, what is wrong with it? What's wrong? Why are they only selling for $40 a portrait? Why are they only selling for $25 a portrait? So people might think, that I'm going to lose clients at $25 a portrait, or you may gain clients with a higher price. Okay. You're going to lose clients, with a higher price, but you're going to gain more money with a higher price, but you're going to have less clients. So it's still a winning situation. And that's what I do. So what I want to say though, too, is don't cave. Now it's very especially if you're struggling and you want to get your artwork out there, you feel like you have to cave when someone says, it's too expensive, like $40, too expensive for me. Well, then they're just not your client. Okay. So they're not your client. All right. So don't cave. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but to be honest with you, your time is worth it. And this isn't that frilly, you're worth it, kind of thing. It's, you wouldn't hire somebody and expect them to only work for $40 for 40 hours, for $1 an hour. You wouldn't expect that from somebody. It would just be silly. So, I mean, my portraits typically take around 30 to 40 hours. And I know that nobody else would do that kind of work for free, basically. So your time is worth payment. Okay. We have endless hours of work, not just mentally and physically, emotionally. As an artist, we have a lot of emotions attached inside of our artwork. It is a piece of you. It's a piece of us. So don't think that you're not worth it, because you are, and your time is worth payment. Let's see. Okay, so how to react when someone says that it's not in their budget and their budget doesn't align with your pricing. Okay, so politely remind them what your prices are. Okay, say these are my set prices. I cannot budge from this. And that, that goes along with whatever you set your price at, up to you. Um, so what I just politely remind them of your pricing and stand firm. If they don't budge, then you need to decline the work. Okay. So sometimes it's funny because you'll get people who they just want to see if they can get you to cave. They just want to see. I've had some clients who, I mean, they didn't never become clients, but some people who would just want to see if they could make me lower my pricing and then never order. So it's like a mind game. Like they have fun doing it. So don't cave. And in that, though, whenever you don't cave, you will also be setting a higher value for yourself. People will view you differently. Okay, so you'll be putting more value into your work and into yourself. Okay, so don't cave, just decline very politely, of course. And of course, if they're rude, you don't want them anyway. Um, so I used to offer, this is the next thing. I used to offer a variety of sizes of my portraits. So I had like really tiny ones, I had really like medium ones, really big ones, and then even some of them I was trying to make them even bigger. I mean, I've had people contact me, will you do this size? And it's like, I got to get that sale. So I'd be like, yes, I'll do that size. And it was so confusing for me. And I think it was also confusing for the customer too. So when you have tons and tons of options, I think that you're doing yourself a disservice, because I think it's really hard then for clients to be able to know what they want, because they're not really, when they don't have it in their hand, they don't know what they're getting. Do you know what I mean? And you're making it. So I think it's really hard. So I would keep it to a minimum of two sizes. Now, if you want to do 3 or 4, that's fine. See what sizes are best for you. I found out which ones were most popular for me. Obviously, whatever they ordered became the most popular. So the variety of sizes made them confused, or I sold less, which sounds strange, but I made my variety just to 2. And it's super easy to talk to clients when you only have 2 sizes, because you can just tell them, this or this, make your decision. So in the business of art, it's easier to only have those 2 options, or just a couple options, I guess I should say. So in my pricing, which my pricing is a little higher, but it's not terrible. I also include, which is something that you can do too, I include framing and also the matting too. So, and I usually take pictures of the frames that are available, and I will show them like, hey, these are the frames that are available. Which one would you like? And usually it's around 5 or 6. I usually include like 2 plain ones, 1 black, 1 white, and then I have a bunch of wooden frames. And you say, which one do you like the best? And then you go get it framed. Now, I don't really give them an option for the matting, because matting is so different when it comes to being in person and looking at, the picture of the dog or whatever you have, like against the colors and then with the frame. It can be so difficult to find that perfect matting. So I usually don't leave the matting up to them. And sometimes I'll do a single matting frame. Sometimes I'll do a double. So it just depends on how it looks the best. So I want to make sure that they get the best, and that when they get it, whether it's shipped or whether it's I hand deliver it, I want to make sure that it's ready to hang up, that it's ready to go, and usually they're thrilled. So that is an option that you can have in your pricing. So you can add that. Don't think you have to eat that, but set it in your pricing so that if you're charging $100 for a portrait and you want to include the framing and the matting, you're looking at between $90 to $120 for the framing and matting extra. Okay, so it would be like $220. Okay, that would be your pricing. But then other things that you need to think about with pricing is your supplies and how much your surface costs, the framing, of course, the pencils, and the time invested. So you can break those all down. So say you buy a pastel mat pad and it's $90, maybe 60 to $90. And each one of those pads of paper, okay, or each piece of paper, I should say you can make $200 off of each piece of paper, and there's 12 pieces of paper. So you could make $2,400 off of that, and I'm not very good at math, so maybe I'm wrong, but we'll just say $2,400 off of that paper. But then you have to deduct, am I going to need pencils? Am I going to have to buy loose stock pencils? Am I going to have to buy new erasers, a new sharpener, stuff like that? So all this stuff you kind of like ball into it. So if you're looking to upgrade your pencils, you want to make sure that you up your prices a little bit so that you have the money to do so, because you want to continue to do it. Anybody who came on, welcome. Just still talking through. Let's see. Okay, so I'm kind of at the end of what I wanted to with all of this, the rule of thumb that we did and everything like that. So first of all, I want you to set your price. Okay, say you're under $100 right now. Bump it to $100. Okay, and put yourself out there for commission work. Let your friends know that you're doing commission work. Have them share your posts, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. And it will help you to get commission work. Sometimes, and I know every year I'll go through my friends or whatever, and I will do free pieces, like completely, totally free, framed, matted, everything. To like a friend or somebody that I don't even know. I've done it several times to someone I don't know, someone on Instagram, somebody on Facebook, that their story of their pet or pup came up on my feed and I read it and it tugged at me. So I draw them a portrait of their pet, their lost pet, whatever happened, and I would mail it to them. I mean, it cost me a lot of money, but that is something that I do every year to make sure that people know that I'm still working, that I'm still doing things. So even just making a picture for your friend is going to help you, because people are going to tag you, they're going to keep sharing and stuff like that. I also wanted to talk to you about marketing. I didn't know if that is something that you would be interested in learning about. What I do, I have hired people to help me and stuff like that. So marketing, can be confusing, but it's not impossible. So if you are looking to market yourself and you need tips, let me know in the chat. Let me know, say you want a video on marketing, and we can talk about the marketing aspect. Of course, my biggest following is on Facebook because of my age range. That's just like where all of, all of my peoples meet. But anyway, set your price, okay? Think about your pencils, think about your time, think about your sizes and the prices in that. And if you need help doing that, message me. I'm totally open to helping, totally open to any of that to help you set your price and get you started. And let's see, I think that's about it. So rule of thumb, if you're booked for 2 months, you need to raise your prices. 25, 50, you can do a slow crawl, you can do a giant leap and just say, hey, I feel confident, I'm just going to do it. We're going to do $120 now, up to you. Leave that totally up to you. And then you might still be booked for 2 months and then up it again. So, and then find that sweet spot, that we were just talking about. Find the sweet spot of, I'm booked, but I'm not overwhelmed. Okay. I'm making money and I'm upping all of my pencils and everything like that, but I'm not, struggling. We don't want to be struggling artists. Shouldn't be anything like that anymore. So, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this clarified some things for you. I didn't go totally off of my script that I have over here that I'm reading, but I hit all of it. So, any questions, put them in the comments. I will be happy to reach out to you. If you're on my Facebook, private message me. If you're having trouble setting your goal or finding your goal, let's chat. But otherwise, it's been a great time. Glad you showed up. Had quite a few come on. And I don't know how to end this. Let's see. Yep. Nope. Anyway, I'll figure it out. You have a great day, and I'm glad you joined in.